Hola y bienvenidos to this week's Tarot Talk. We are at the spring equinox, and Happy New Year to anyone who celebrates the new cycle with the beginning of spring. We are officially ending the season of winter where we are sleepy and hibernating and assimilating and going into the cycle that brings in rebirth and life and what is blooming and what is fresh and what wants to be birthed. So I personally celebrate the beginning of my new year in the equinox portal. So Happy New Year. This is a beautiful week. This is such a beautiful week. I can't emphasize it enough. So we're just going to dive right in. We start off Sunday the 15th with Mars in Pisces making a conjunction to Mercury in Pisces retrograde. This is happening at 10 degrees. And honestly, this feels like a competitive swimmer wanting to beat their record. It feels like someone who is very passionate about a goal or an idea and just going full throttle towards it. This can be an influence that really allows for us to take our ideas and our thoughts and apply them into an action that is conducive for us to see the other side of that goal or the other side of that vision. So if you have an idea that is a little bit out there but you want to experiment with, please do. This is actually a very rare occurrence. The last time that we had both Mars and Mercury in Pisces meeting in this way was on February 7th of 2013. If there was anything happening for you at around that time, look back in that moment and reflect on what did you bring into this world? How were you moving? How were you thinking about things and then walking your talk or taking those thoughts and really embodying them in how you move in the world? Because Mercury is also the ruler of money and we are still in the retrograde and it is in its fall in Pisces, there are perhaps themes of cloudy communications or confusion or even finances and money exchanges that are really disorienting us right now or have the capacity to disorient us. This influence feels like quick liquidation of your assets or of something needing to be quickly extracted so that you can pivot or problem solve something in the moment. So be adaptable with this influence, just like water, just like Pisces, and go with the current. But ultimately, I think that this could be a really playful and really exciting influence to work with in our creative faculties and how we courageously move through the world as we conceptualize the reality that not only we are currently living in, but that we want to bring forward as well. On Tuesday the 17th, Mercury will make a conjunction to the North Node, and Mercury has already done this back in February the 12th, and this is likely going to be a moment where you are revisiting a conversation or an idea or a project or a process that took place around that February 12th window, since Mercury was in shadow in its first conjunction to the North Node, and now it's coming back to revisit something that took place at around that time. Maybe you had a dream in that moment that really stuck with you, or an important conversation. Just pay attention to what communications are coming your way on this day. They might have an element of deja vu to them. If you're not literally revisiting a conversation, then they hold certain themes that are similar to themselves. Mercury retrogrades are not always so literal where, oh, you had a conversation with person A during the Mercury shadow about money. That means you're going to go back and talk to that specific person again about money again when Mercury retrogrades back. It could be a completely different person and it could be a little bit of a broader topic, but it could still revolve around money. Or maybe it is with that person, but it's no longer about money and it's about shared resources. Whatever it might be, however it might fall in your chart, that's where we really get to the nitty-gritty of how these interpretations will land for you. All in all, though, there is an element of deja vu here, and that's actually how I would characterize this influence of specifically Mercury and Pisces retrograde conjoining something like the North Node, which is very future forward and abundant leaning and a hunger for what's next, a hunger for and a desire for something new to take hold of our life. Dreams will show the way at this time too. Pay attention to your dreams. Keep a dream journal if you so wish. And on Wednesday, we then have Venus in Aries making a square to Jupiter in Cancer. This influence really highlights our desires for independence, our desire for adventure even, and for exploring a new, beautiful reality that likely clashes with our emotional security, our emotional comfort, and the way in which we are used to moving through the world. Venus in Aries is very courageous and very adventurous. She has a good edge to her. And in the square to Jupiter in Cancer, there is likely a moment here of tension where we want to make these bold moves or this bold action in these Venusian areas of our life: love, money, relationships, aesthetics. But Jupiter in Cancer isn't quite used to holding Venus in that way, especially with the square moment. So there is a lot of opportunity for abundance here and beauty and play that is fun, because we do still have the two benefics interacting. The square is not necessarily catastrophic. It's more like there is a potential to go overboard in something. You may go overboard in taking a risk that is in favor of a desire that you have, and then realizing that that's really brushing up against your emotional boundaries or your sense of security, or maybe even the way in which you're used to showing up for loved ones and nurturing loved ones. This is asking for a new aspect of yourself to be born. Perhaps you've realized that you have been very much in service to a person or a project or community, very much nurturing it, and there is an element of you that wants to break away from that and wants to be a little bit selfish and take a little bit of your energy back for your own pursuits of something new and leading a path forward that you haven't quite before. And it's not necessarily that it's selfish in a negative way, but a little bit of balance might need to be restored here with this square causing a bit of tension between Venus and Jupiter. This is happening at 15 degrees, and then the Sun in Pisces will sextile Uranus and Tauro at 28 degrees, which is a moment where we might receive an influx of creative energy that sparks sudden practical innovations for us to move forward on. Because these influences are happening on the same day and Venus does rule over Tauro, this moment might be connected to that Venus-Jupiter square, where maybe we are wanting to find the balance in following our own desires and our own pleasures, but still showing up and nurturing something we really care about. The Sun in Pisces, sextiling Uranus and Tauro, is going to give us a very gentle eureka moment with the sextile happening here, saying, what if we just disrupt our day-to-day routines a little bit and allow for new creative energy to pour through? And deviating from our routines often brings us a level of healing, inspiration, and magic that was always there. It was just waiting for us to arrive there. Sometimes you need to deviate from your routine and from your emotional comforts to access untapped creativity and untapped inspiration for how you want to move forward on a project or on a certain vision. And this influence, I think, can add to the problem solving that we might need to do with Venus squaring Jupiter. But all in all, this feels like a moment that brings in a positive kind of tension. I don't foresee this being particularly detrimental. It almost feels like disrupting something that has just been set in stone for so long to bring in a new energy that balances out the situation even more and allowing for more beauty to step in, for more abundance and pleasure on all parties to step in. And on this 18th, we are also in that equinox window. So this is a really beautiful portal for us to experiment with. What are we ready to leave behind? What do we want to experiment with a little bit more? And going into this new year, what fresh etheric ideas want to trickle in and inspire how we self-identify, how we problem solve in a moment, the way that our mind thinks, the way that we find pleasure in our day-to-day reality, and our overall sense of stability emotionally, but also spiritually and energetically within ourselves, to then also support others that we care about and to be a beacon of our own authentic, radiant light and essence in this world, and shining a light that only you can shine from within and no one else can shine quite the way that you do for your specific energy signature ever. Speaking of portals, we have the Pisces new moon as well happening at 28 degrees. And let me just say, we have not had a lunation in Pisces without Saturn as of the last 2 to 3 years. So this lunation is particularly sweet. It is light, it is airy, etheric and playful. We are already in the lunation as of Monday the 16th, since that's when Luna enters Pisces officially. On the 17th, Luna then conjoined the North Node, Mercury retrograde, Mars, and trined Jupiter, which is an influence that really challenges us to move in the direction of our dreams in a courageous way that is still in alignment with us nurturing ourselves and nurturing that vision. And then on the 18th, it makes a sextile to Uranus and Tauro, inspiring us to be a little bit avant-garde and experimental with the way that we are approaching a situation before it kisses the sun officially. So there are so many beautiful influences weaved into this lunation. And in that trine to Jupiter, it's especially auspicious as well. So use this moon to really plant seeds for something that you daydream and fantasize about often, but maybe you've never been quite sure about how to bring it into the earthly realm. With Mars and Pisces here, we have more than enough momentum available to back us up in that. We have Mercury retrograding here, which might confuse or cloud the process a little bit, but ultimately that's where our mind is. Our mind is with that dream and with that vision. And with the North Node and with Jupiter and Uranus involved, yes, Mercury is struggling a bit in this retrograde moment, but we can get creative about how we want to bring in this new reality or future or project, or maybe you want to manifest something. How it is that we go about it is going to be likely very ingenious, very out of the box, but in a way that helps us feel super connected with our own creative energy. And again, because Saturn is not here in Pisces throughout this moment, there is this element of like bounciness to it, almost like a bubble floating into space and not getting popped so quickly. We have Jupiter here making that trine, and so Saturn has already gone into Aries, but when it was in Pisces, it did bring an element of realism to our fantasies and to our dreams, maybe putting boundaries and saying, okay, this is as far as you can daydream into that. You need to go and do the work. That's still very much the case here, but we are more easily able to go into the unknown, to go into the edge of what is known and unknown, and to push those barriers of the consciousness that we have and how we've been used to moving through it in the ethers or in the mental realms, and really seeing what is just right over the edge of where we're used to exploring. So use this lunation for something magical, beautiful, sweet, and fun. It's a really beautiful, happy new year. And on Friday the 20th, the sun moves into Aries. Feliz cumpleaños to all of my Aries people. We are exalted here. The sun loves to be in Aries. The sun loves to lead and to shine its light. And Aries is super competitive, loves to lead as well because it wants to be constantly pushing the boundaries forward. Very courageous, very adventurous energy, and it's fiery. It's playful, it's fun. You will always have fun with an Aries. You might bicker a little bit. You might have a bit of an argument here, but it's all in the essence of pushing something beyond what we're used to. There is an edge here. There is a necessary fire here. The sun is now going to be co-present with Venus, Saturn, and Neptune, so we will start to immerse ourselves even more in those themes. But for now, we are at the very beginning of this Aries sign. If you have prominent cardinal signs, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, we will be feeling this acutely. I say we, I'm a Cancer rising Aries moon. So happy Aries season, and we are entering into the first primordial fire. That's how I imagine Aries. It's like the very first spark that ever did spark in reality. If you think that that was maybe like a human from years and years and years ago discovering light by clashing two rocks together, Aries is also the sun besides Leo. And so this light that is just luminous and illuminates the path forward for horizons that we are eager and excited to charge into. And Mars is still in Pisces, but it's soon going to enter into Aries as well. And in this domain, we are especially going to feel a very action-oriented, charged essence in our day-to-day. We're not there yet, but Mars is going to be in Aries very soon. So for now, with the sun, it is going to even more so set the tone for what we can expect in this Aries season. And we also, on this Friday, have Mercury stationing direct in Pisces at 8 degrees, since that's where it stationed shadow back in February We are in a moment where our revisions are complete in the sense that we have seen everything that we needed to see in this retrograde story that we needed to rethink, revise, correct, and reimagining is really the key word that I want to use here since it lives in the Pisces house for now. And we are now going to move forward. So we're still in this retrograde moment since Mercury is going to still need to exit shadow, but it can now have more clarity in how it is going about through its processes. So we might be receiving more solutions to issues or problems that might have popped up during the retrograde. We might be able to spearhead a project or a vision a lot more quickly or with much more confidence even. So happy direct station of Mercury's retrograde, and enjoy the rest of Mercury's time in Pisces. I know that it's in fall, but Mercury in Pisces brings in art and beauty like no other. Think of like your favorite musician, right? That is very Mercury in Pisces. It's music, it's painting, it's exploring the untapped realms that live outside of logic and what is fact and on paper. It really can let the mind wander into the etheric ocean that is always available to us. And from that place, we can bring in the energy of genius. So enjoy the rest of your Mercury retrograde as it is now moving through its shadow stage and will officially leave Pisces in April. On Saturday, we have Mars in Pisces making a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. And this is sort of the cherry on top of the week. This feels like a moment where our actions are deeply intertwined with our soul mission. Whatever it is that we are on this planet here to do, if you're not sure what that is, pay attention to what natural inclinations are being birthed from you at this time. Maybe you just randomly and spontaneously want to take archery classes, or maybe you want to sign up for a course and you've never considered this course before, but all of a sudden, every bone in your body wants to take this course. This is a moment where our actions are being directly influenced by the messages of the unseen propelling us towards our destiny path. And this is also supporting us in our emotional growth, our emotional stability, and our emotional intelligence with Jupiter in Cancer making a trine here. So there's a lot of heart-centered movement. There's a lot of courage. It's very inspiring. It is very exciting as well. And absolutely in the etheric realm, we have right now in this moment, more than ever, the capacity to take what is floating in the etheric imaginal realms and really bring it into our body and to move from that way. Maybe, for example, you have this idea of starting a song. Maybe you've never made music before in your life, but you want to make a song. And you can pluck that idea and say, I'm going to put this in my body in the form of every time I am like moving through the world and I hear a sound that sounds interesting, I'm going to connect to that sound and then later make the music or move on that and make a song from these pieces that I am encountering as I move through the world. That can be a very like specific kind of example, but that's the way that I imagine this influence. And this is such a beautiful energy to finish the week on. And again, we are at the beginning of spring, a season that is life-giving and a renewal and a refresh. The air in the springtime is some of my favorite air ever. It's just so fresh and it feels full of possibility. And so I'm so happy that the astrology really aligns with that. And with the eclipses behind us and starting a new cycle with Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, we absolutely will see how things will unfold for us in that chapter in our life. But for now, in this week, there's a lot of beauty, a lot of creativity, and a lot of magic for us to work with. This is definitely a week of a lot of magic, especially with that new moon in Pisces. So use that portal, do some spells, conjure in the version of yourself that is waiting to be downloaded, version 3.0 of yourself or 5.0, what have you. And I hope that this week is lovely for you. If you would be interested in a one-to-one consultation with me, please feel free to check out audisadaris.net to see how these transits or anything else is landing for you. If you would be interested in also seeing the tarot reading for this week, then check out my separate offering for that. I am now dividing the reading so that I can give so much more energy and attention attention to the messages of the tarot and the archetypes and the symbolism that wants to show up for us and support with the astrology of the week. So feel free to check that out as well. And with that, I am sending you mucha magia, mucho amor, and I will see you in the next one. Cuídense.